So, you've probably heard of Hanukkah, the Festival of Lights, but what you might not know is that behind the celebration is one of the most incredible underdog stories in history. Seriously, it's a wild tale of rebellion, faith, and a battle against odds that were, well, completely impossible. Let's dive in.
Our story kicks off with a really brutal ultimatum. A super powerful king named Antiochus laid down the law for everyone in his kingdom, and his message was simple and terrifying. Do what I say, believe what I believe, or else.
And you got to understand, these commands from the king, they weren't just about politics. No, they went way deeper. They struck right at the heart of the Jewish people's identity and their faith. And that's what set the stage for this massive conflict.
I mean, the attack was just so direct. First, he demanded total conformity. Everyone had to ditch their own beliefs and adopt his. And then, the second blow, he ordered the destruction of their most sacred place on earth, the Jewish temple in Jerusalem. This was way more than just a new rule. It was basically a declaration of war on their entire culture.
Now, faced with these insane commands, you can imagine most people felt totally powerless. They just went along with it. But as we know, when things get this bad, it often just takes one person to light the fuse of a revolution.
And that one person was a man named Judah Maccabee. He saw what the king was doing and he just said, no, absolutely not. He decided that just giving in was not an option. Somebody had to fight back.
So Judah and his brothers, who were known for being pretty tough soldiers, they got together and formed this small, scrappy rebel army. They became known as the Maccabees. And listen, this was not some professional military force. It was a family, a group of brothers, fighting for the one thing they had left, what they believed in.
And this right here just shows you how stacked the odds were. On one side, you have the Maccabees, a tiny group, totally outnumbered, but they're running on pure conviction. And on the other side, the king's enormous professional army, equipped with, and I'm not kidding, armored elephants.
Yep, you heard that right. Armored. Elephants. This wasn't just a simple battle. This was like something out of a fantasy movie. It was a battle against military tech that must have seemed absolutely unstoppable.
So that's the big question, isn't it? How in the world do you fight that? Just try to picture it. You're a soldier on foot, and charging at you is a literal tank of an elephant covered in armor. It sounds like a suicide mission. What could their strategy possibly be?
Well, their tactic was as crazy as it was brilliant. They knew they couldn't fight these things head-on, so they went under them. The plan was to get beneath these massive animals and attack the one place they weren't protected, their soft underbellies. But that kind of bravery, it comes at a terrible price. In the middle of the fight, one of Judah's own brothers was crushed to death by an elephant while trying to pull off this exact move. It's just a heartbreaking reminder of the sacrifice this victory took.
And yet, somehow, despite the losses, despite the armored elephants, despite being completely outnumbered, they did it. This tiny band of rebels took down the king's entire army. The Maccabees had actually won.
But believe it or not, the story doesn't end on the battlefield. Winning the war was one thing, but now they had to reclaim their spiritual home. Their next journey took them right back to where it all started, the temple.
So when they finally got back to the temple in Jerusalem, they found it totally trashed. It was in ruins, desecrated, just like the king had wanted. The fight was over, but the work of healing and rebuilding was just beginning.
So as they're cleaning up the mess, they look for some of the sacred oil they need to light the menorah. That's the holy lampstand that's supposed to burn all the time. But in all the rubble, all they could find was one single tiny jar of oil, just enough to last for one day.
And then, something incredible happened. That tiny little bit of oil, which should have been gone in 24 hours, it just kept the menorah burning. And it didn't just burn for 2 days or 3, it kept burning for 8 full days.
For the Maccabees, this was everything. This wasn't just some weird coincidence. It was a sign. After all the oppression, the impossible battles, the sacrifice, this was the universe telling them that their fight was righteous and that they weren't alone.
Okay, so how does this ancient story of war and miracles connect to the holiday that we all know today? Well, let's break down exactly how it all ties together. It's pretty cool, actually. Every single tradition of Hanukkah comes directly from this story. The menorah is lit every night to remember that miraculous lamp in the temple. The holiday lasts for 8 nights, one for each day the oil burned.
And at its very core, the whole celebration is about that incredible victory, a fight for the freedom to simply believe.
And that kind of leaves us with one final thought. At the end of the day, this is a story about a tiny flame that refused to go out during a time of incredible darkness. It's a story about hope when there was no reason to have any. So the question is, what does this ancient story of light and resilience really mean to us, right here, right now?